Today we cover one of GraniteShares' more obscure income ETFs, HIPS. Is it worth buying? This video is not financial advice, nor is it a recommendation. Please do your own due diligence before investing into anything. HIPS came out way back in January 6th of 2015, so we have 10 whole years of data to go on. It pays dividends every month, and it has a total expense ratio of 1.6%. HIPS' strategy is pretty straightforward. I'll give you their description of it. They said they provide a simple and diversified exposure to 4 alternative income categories: MLPs, Master Limited Partnerships, REITs, and Business Development Companies or BDCs, and also closed-end funds. When you put your cash into HIPS, they invest directly into each of these categories, and the dividends paid out to the ETF are passed through to the investor. For those who are unfamiliar, maybe you're hearing the MLP term for the very first time, a Master Limited Partnership is a type of company that is designed around tax efficiency. Not only do you get passed down your share or shares of the company's income, you also get passed down your share of the company's expenses. You don't have to pay these expenses on your own, but the company does that and passes down the tax benefits to you via a K-1. The idea being that some of that income tax would be offset by some of the expenses you can now declare through that K-1. The only real drawback here is that because that K-1 is adding another form to your tax return, your CPA will probably charge you more because it's more work for them. Most of us have heard of REITs. It's a real estate investment trust. They effectively take a giant portfolio of certain types of real estate or a mixture of real estate, and they give you your share of that income based on how much of the total portfolio you own. BDCs, or business development companies, are companies that effectively issue debt to businesses as a way to help them grow. Generally, it's senior secured or junior secured debt for the most part. Sometimes it is direct ownership, but it really just depends on the BDC in question. And closed-end funds, as we all know, they're kind of like an ETF, but they may include some investments that are not publicly traded, and they also may offer a rights offering. If you'd like a more in-depth explanation as to what a closed-end fund is, I did already make a video explaining what a closed-end fund is on this channel. Now that we understand what HIPS is and what it does, let's look into some pros and cons to assess if this is actually even worth looking at. The pros: number 1, no K-1, which means you're not going to get charged more by your CPA for your tax prep. The other pro, of course, being that this is all done for you. Somebody else can go and do all the picking and choosing and watching all these different investments. However, some of those pros, like the no K-1, is a double-edged sword. Because you don't get a K-1, you don't get to actually claim your share of the company's expenses on your tax return, which means any of the tax benefits that may have made an MLP an attractive investment are immediately taken away. And because the fund is managed for you, you also have zero control over what investments they pick. Another possible con with HIPS here is that because most of the holdings, and I'm going to put them here on the screen, are MREITs and BDCs, both of which are primarily about owning and issuing debt, those holdings benefit most from a high interest rate environment, and they are hurt by lowering interest rates, which is exactly what Trump is trying to do right now. So if he's successful and interest rates come down, anything with floating rates like PFLT is on this list. PFLT is actually PennantPark floating rate capital, so that rate is going to float down, and their profitability will also float down with it. That said, the only way we're going to be able to actually assess if this ETF is worth buying is also by looking at its performance. Starting with total returns, it has a 1-year total return of 5.47%, and compared to the S&P in that same time window, it made 18.82% total returns. The 5-year window looks more like 71.66% total returns for HIPS, and the S&P in that same time made 113.39% returns. But because most of us here are just looking for high income, high frequency dividend ETFs, we'll look at the dividends paid out and the dividend yield. The yield for the last 12 months on HIPS is 10.36%. That's dividend yield. Dollars paid out in the last 12 months is only $1.29 per share. So what do we think? Is HIPS a buy or is it not? Let us know in the comment section down below. If you like this video, you might also enjoy this one here on the screen. Subscribe to join the Cash Flow Club and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video.